Hello and welcome to the CISO IT podcast from Automox. I'm your host, Jason Kikta, and welcome to December. I just got back. It's been a bit of a marathon for me. I did a week at Microsoft Ignite, went right into Thanksgiving, and then right into AWS reInvent. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about those events, as well as my personal prediction for 2025. So thanks for joining us today. So, yeah, Ignite, I will say it was a pretty good event. Although my biggest bone to pick is that I'd say first, any Microsoft event, the scheduling is always a little bit chaotic. And things tend to come out last minute, and then also I think that doing an event in Chicago, Chicago's a great city, but doing an event in Chicago in November, I would qualify as cruel and unusual because it was about, I think like 63, 64 degrees the day we got there. And then the day we left, we got a few inches of snow. It was down in the 20s and everyone's flights out were delayed. So that part wasn't as much fun, but had a lot of really great discussions there, met a lot of really cool people, and, saw some, pretty innovative things, a few new things from a variety of vendors there on the floor. And then, some of the talks. And then reInvent, I feel was, reInvent's hard to beat. reInvent is huge, right? When you talk about Ignite, you're talking, I think it's like 40,000-ish people. I'm not really sure, but reInvent is big. reInvent's like 75,000 people. It's bigger than RSA and a lot of other events. So, it's massive. It spans multiple casino convention centers out in Las Vegas, which is quite nice in early December. And, saw some really great innovations from AWS. I'm especially excited about some of their new database technology. And then very interesting dynamics going on the floor, where, there was a lot of, I would say the biggest trend I observed at reInvent was I feel like people are finally starting to get serious about finding good, solid, realistic use cases for AI in their products, right? It is not the majority of vendors yet. I think there's a lot of people slapping in AI just to have AI. And I think there's still too much overemphasis on large language models, but definitely an improvement from the past couple of years where people are starting to focus down, and there's starting to be some, more work done around identifying use cases where, we can't have model hallucinations. And so, if the model's uncertain or doesn't know the answer, then it needs to stay to such. And also, renewed interest that got kind of run down by the LLM craze in machine learning. So, positive trends, I think. But my prediction for 2025. So, as you know, I talk a lot about how most people, when they get exploited by a malicious cyber actor, whether they be criminal or state, that they usually get hit on something that is a known vulnerability, right? It's rarely a 0 day. 0 days are exciting. They make a lot of news, but they're not the majority of problems that people actually have. But a CISO report just came out a few weeks back, and it found that in 2023, the majority of the most frequently exploited vulnerabilities were initially exploited as 0 day, which is an increase from 2022 when less than half of the top exploited vulnerabilities were exploited as a 0 day. So they went back and looked at the data for 2023 and found that, over half were involved as 0 day. Now, let's break that down a little bit, because that's, that's by volume. And so it can be a little bit misleading there. The sorts of 0 days that they're talking about there, the ones that are really moving the numbers and causing that statistic to go up, are tied to another phenomenon that's, we've talked about it at length, which is that mass exploitation has gotten drastically easier, right? You now have actors who they maintain their own continuous scans and databases of the internet. They know where a lot of those internet facing appliances and holes in your firewall are. And that's just maintained as a matter of course, almost as a business process for criminal actors, let alone, again, intelligence agencies. But as part of that, when they have a 0 day in a public facing appliance, something like a Fortinet, they're able to then, queue that up to then hit all of those Fortinet devices simultaneously. And the proliferation of, sort of good guy awareness tools like Gray Noise, who can, watch for those scans and catch that stuff early and alert security teams, is paired with, there's also a lot of honeypotting out there by other malicious actors looking to catch those exploits and then use them themselves. So like there's immediate reuse and it becomes a little bit of an arms race. And so you'll have some of those devices getting exploited 3-4 times. And the one little bit of a bright spot in there is, unless the exploitation path is automated, right? If you have something that like it contains data that can be taken directly from that server, then yeah, it'll immediately go into, that initial access will result in a material breach. But not all of these exploitation events in mass result in material breaches, because you'll have these actors who get in there and determine, I can't really get to where I want to from here, or actually this is a low value network and I'm just going to disregard it. So the numbers are a little bit skewed in that sense towards, 0 days and not, what would actually cause a material breach in your network. But that being said, they are on the rise, and those things remain dangerous. So what I think in 2025 we're going to start seeing is that, you're still going to need those aggressive patching strategies, right? That never goes away. But now that's going to be paired in with an increasingly demanding mitigation strategies, right? To automate those configuration changes at scale, to identify those exploitation campaigns and figure out, okay, what changes do I need to make to protect my network? Do I need to maybe take it offline? What do I need to do until the vendor can catch up and produce a patch? So that's going to require, I think, even more cross collaboration between security and IT teams to develop and deploy those mitigations, because I think patching has become a well-rehearsed, well-exercised muscle, and kind of conversely, the mitigation strategies are a little more ad hoc, because you never quite know, like, what's that mitigation going to be? Is it just a configuration file change and a restart? Is there something more? Do we need to like modify files, remove files, turn off functionality? Like what is it? And it might end up being a multi-step process. So those are not as straightforward and easy as patching, but critical nonetheless. And my prediction for 2025 is that criticality will increase. So there's your brief update for December, and look forward to seeing you all in January. Everyone, please have a happy holidays and stay safe out there.